So one of my viewers had a question, and I'm going to answer it today. And the question was, that's a lot of notes. How do you read all those notes? They said that it's always astounded them that people can actually read those notes as quickly as they do. And here's the secret. We don't. Yeah, that's the secret. All right, so yes, there are a lot of notes written on the page, but instead of reading every single note, what we actually do is read them in groups. And so I'll just take a few notes for an example here. This group of notes, there are 3 of them, and it's not on a staff. Well, it's on a staff, but it doesn't have a clef at the beginning, so it could be bass clef or treble clef. If I'm going to play it with my right hand, let's assume that this is treble clef. So if this was a treble clef, then my first note here is on the 2nd line. That would make it G. So if this were a G, then if I was going to start this group of notes, often there's a finger number given, but if I was going to start it with a thumb, then I would see this next note as a space note, which I know that lines and spaces are neighbors with each other, so I'll just play the next note. And then here, from the space to a line, is another neighbor. So from the space to a line, again, I would just play the next note. So I would start with my thumb, and then I would play my 2 and my 3. So it would look like this. Now, if I didn't start with my thumb, I could have started with my 2, and this pattern would then go to 2, and then 3, and then 4, but I would be just playing the same upward pattern of notes. And I really could have started this pattern with finger 3 also, finger 3 going up to 4 and then up to 5. So 3 up to 4 and up again. In music, there's often finger numbers given, but if there aren't, you can make up your own as long as it fits the distance you need to go. Here's a pattern again. I won't read all 4 of these notes, and only looking at the first note, I'll see it's in the 3rd space, and that's one of my guide notes also. It's my treble C guide note. So I'll see treble C, up a neighbor, up a neighbor, up a neighbor. So in my mind, I'm not even really thinking about that. I'm thinking start on thumb, go up, up, up. So if I'm starting on treble C, I'm going to go C, up, up, up. I started with my thumb in this case, but if I'd started on my 2, it'd still be just 2, up, up, up. So starting on treble C, 2, up, up, up. Now, if you don't know the first note, that's a problem. You can use a chart like this that helps you reference the notes and then play the first note and then use the patterns to go from there. But I really recommend you memorize this group of notes, and there is a video to help you with this. So here's another example. This is a pattern of 5 notes, and I quickly see that it's going to use all 5 of my fingers going up 1 note at a time because I'm trained to look for patterns of line and space notes. So you see this one starts on the bottom line and goes up space, line, and if you remember from the tutorial where I taught you how to read notes, you'll remember that line notes and space notes are neighbors with each other. So starting on the bottom line here, we have E, going up a space, up a line, up a space, up a line. Now this pattern used all 5 of my fingers because it went up consecutively. I could have done it a different way. Sometimes you see piano players turning their thumb under and continuing. So I could have played 1, 2, and then 1 again and used my 2 and my 3. It would look like this. E, up a neighbor, thumb under, up a neighbor, up a neighbor, up a neighbor. This type of thing becomes really handy when you're reading notes in different key signatures. Because then instead of reading every note, we just have to start to remember where to find our sharps and flats. Here we have a different pattern. It doesn't use any space notes. And if you look on the chart, you can see the line notes have notes in between them. So from the 2nd line to the 3rd line to the 4th line, we're skipping over these 2 notes. And because of experience, I know that I'll play this with my thumb. I'll skip a note, which is skipping a finger, and then I'll skip another note and skip another finger. So I'll go up to the top. So if I was beginning on G, I'd go up a skip and then up another skip. And that's the most convenient fingering to use anytime you see this pattern. And you'll start to recognize this pattern as being a chord. If I play them all at once, you can hear that it's a chord, and it's a G chord. It's called root position, the way it's written in this case. Here's another pattern. So now we can see that these 2 notes are the same, they repeat. And from this repeat, we go up a skip to another line. And from this, we go up another line. So for me, it really looks like pattern 1, 3, 5. So starting on third line up, it's B, and I'll play B, repeat, up and up by skips. And I can see there's sort of a triad pattern here as well. So now we've got more notes. There are 5 of them, but look at this, they're all on lines. Anytime I see this skip skip pattern, I recognize it as being like a triad, and I'm going to use fingers 1, 3, and 5 on those line notes. So I know my placement will be on the bottom line, which in treble clef is E. So I've played bottom line, second line, third line, second line, third line. And I haven't used these 2 fingers at all because these 2 fingers would be for the space notes. And speaking of space notes, I have this pattern here. So only 2 notes are involved in the pattern. If there's no finger number given to guide you on what choices to make, you can use fingers 1 and 3, or you can use fingers 2 and 4, or you can use fingers 5 and 3. It all works. So starting on the second space, there's an A. This starts on the second space, and I'll play it like this. A, F, F. So I've used my third finger. I've started the pattern with my third finger, and I've then gone down a skip to my thumb. I could have played it starting on my 4th finger or on my 5th finger. Here we have another space note pattern, and it only involves 2 notes again, so I have lots of choices. Any 2 fingers that have 1 between them will work. 1 and 3, 2 and 4, 3 and 5. So I'm going to begin this pattern on 1 and place it on D. Now the only note I thought about was D. The rest of this I didn't think about F. I only thought about up a skip and back down. I could have started on 2, and I could have started on 3. Here's another pattern that goes up by skips and then down 1. So here again, I see that from space to space to space involves me skipping over notes. And this top note, in fact, isn't even on my reference chart. But because I know that space notes are not touching each other on the piano, I can tell that I'm just going to go up another skip from this note to the top one. So I'm starting on a note, I'm skipping up to a space, I'm skipping up to a space, and then I'm going down from a space to a line, so that means going down from my 5th finger down to my 4th finger. So starting on C would look like this. And I see a triad here as well. Before I told you about triads that use 3 line notes going up by skips, but this is a triad starting on a space note. Anytime you're moving up by skips, we have a chord. And a chord with 3 notes is called a triad. So this is a C chord or a C triad. Alright, now this pattern moves downward. So a downward pattern, it's always nice to start on a high finger. I would start maybe on a 5, and then skip down to a 3, and then play a 2, and then a 1 and a 2. So beginning on my top finger, I play 5, skip down to 3, neighbor down to finger 2, neighbor down to finger 1, and neighbor up to finger 2. A couple more examples here. Nice short one. I can see this one doesn't start on a bottom finger, it starts on a finger in the middle of my hand, and this looks like my lowest note, so a good finger to use on this one would be my lowest finger, which is going to be thumb. Backing it up, I'll start with finger 2 and I'll play it on A. Again, I'm only going to read the note A. Everything else I read as a reference from A. So that's it. You can give it a try. You can play along with me, and maybe I'll put an example online where you can print off some of these and give them a try yourself. Really, just read the first note. Hopefully you've memorized these or learned a trick for learning them quickly. There's a couple of videos I have that will teach you how to do that, and then you can just find the first note and read by patterns.